Hello, all you seeds that will turn into beautiful trees, to our show today.
My name's Cody, the wonderful planter of many, many seeds in America.
And I am not Johnny Appleseed, but a man maybe greater. And I'm Laz, and I'm in China. And we're not across the pond, but across
the other pond. The show where we take a deep dive 6 feet under and find out what's happening to those corpses under the ground.
Yep, that's exactly what's going on today, because the problem is, this episode is going to come out next week, so it's already going to go past the wonderful month of October, but we were going to do something where we're going to do spooky topics.
Spooky scary stuff, but then October happened.
Yeah, of course my sickness had to come up again, just I mean, that was scary spooky for me, but maybe not for anybody else.
Anybody who knew you, that was scary spooky.
Yeah, dude. Also, getting colds, too. I hate getting sick, bro.
I hate getting sick. I have tried to make a promise to myself since, June, I think. I'm not getting sick anymore. I'm just not going to do it. It's just not going to happen to me. I take
for me,
multivitamins.
Mm-hmm.
I wash my hands all the time. I'm not getting sick.
Dude, the only person that I know that doesn't get sick is Fong Fong. I don't think I've seen her get sick in years. Even when I get sick with a cold, nah, it doesn't affect her.
That's crazy to me. Whenever Ashley gets sick, I get sick. And if I get sick, Ashley gets sick half the time.
Yeah.
It's just unavoidable.
The other problem that I have is I have asthma, so I'll have a lingering cough for sometimes even a whole month after I get a cold. Yeah, it sucks. But anyway, so we are talking about the afterlife today, the life after your life. That's why they call it the afterlife. Huh?
Yeah, I guess that's what they call it. I wonder why.
Never.
I feel like that phrase, the afterlife, has to come from being religious in general, because people who don't believe in an afterlife should, what word did you use? Just death?
After death?
After death.
I mean, yeah, I guess, when I think of, after death, it sounds a little more, realistic, or what is the word, more mundane. But if I say afterlife, it's it almost seems sublime,
It's anything could happen afterwards. Nobody's ever seen it. And
yeah,
at least
exactly.
been able to articulate it.
Mm-hmm. Well, how about, let's get straight into a question. Do you believe in the afterlife?
I want to believe in one, but I don't know if I have the wherewithal to go through with that and say, yeah, there's something after death, because there might not be. Mm-hmm. There could just be nothing. So I think I lean more towards there isn't anything really. But I would like for there to be something. Although, then you have eternity, and that feels insane to just live again. I feel like maybe reincarnation is more accurate rather than afterlife.
I think that's kind of the mainstream now, actually, is reincarnation. If you read books and movies and whatnot, it seems like reincarnation's a kind of a big thing now. At least to me. I don't know if anybody else thinks that way. I just have been noticing there's more and more, like, people talking about reincarnation.
I think the only issue I have with reincarnation is the overarching idea would have to be that there is a finite number of souls that are constantly being reincarnated, right? Where do the new souls come from? Because we always have more of everything rather than, like, it hasn't been the same number of plants and animals for eternity. So where do those new souls come from? I haven't read enough of the reincarnation religions if they have an answer for that.
Yeah, me either. But just like thinking about it, you know, like I kind of think if we like kind of start off from the physical realm, like think about like the law that says that matter cannot be destroyed or created, you know?
Yep.
Maybe it's the same in the spiritual realm. Maybe like, you know, like in the physical realm, if I have a potato and I eat that potato, is the potato really gone? No, it just has become a part of me, right?
Yeah, and then it will leave you. Well, parts of it will.
Yeah, and see, it's just, and I never really, and the person who planted the potato seed and you know, grew the potatoes, is that really creation? You know, it was a seed. And then where did that seed come from? You know, it's like there's not really any creation or destruction in that process.
Yeah, there's no,
you know?
like, the starting point was millennia ago when something sparked that potato. Or that energy that made that potato.
Yeah.
The whole world's a potato. I'm calling it now. We're actually flying around on a potato.
Yeah, it's the world is your potato. That's what they used to say when I was a kid, right? When life gives you potatoes, you mash that shit, right?
Yeah. How many people have seen an oyster? Potatoes are way more common than oysters. At least in the Midwest.
Because, yeah, dude, we live in the Midwest. Where the fuck are we gonna find oysters, man? If you live in like Boston, you might see some oysters, right?
I don't know if that accent is correct. I haven't met enough Bostonians to know.
Well, my mom lived in Boston for like, I don't know how many years, but I don't think she to me, she has more of like a Latina
Yeah, she has more of a Latino accent.
I didn't notice that until like university. I was like, I always just thought my mom had a normal accent, but then actually I thought my dad did too. But then once I get into university and started learning languages, I started noticing my dad's he's pretty Southern actually.
He's very Southern.
Yeah, it's like why you wash the car.
Very
it's like,
slow,
Laz, go wash your
Southern.
clothes. Yeah. And then like my mom, like I don't know how to imitate her accent, but like she's really nasally when she talks actually.
I haven't listened in a while,
She kind of nasally. But have you ever, we're getting off topic a little. I'm not going to say that. I want to get back on topic because like we're talking about the seed being like it's like in Buddhism, there's not really creation or, you know, they say extinguishment, you know, or like destruction, you know, like there's only like fake creation and fake destruction, or like, you know, like, how do you say that? Like surface creation and surface destruction.
Right, yeah.
You know,
the level where you can see it, but not the spiritual level of it, or the underlying physical layer. That always existed.
Or metaphysical layer, right?
Yeah, that's a better word for it.
You can say that. Like, so the thing is, that means that also in the spiritual realm, we don't just have an afterlife, we should also have a before life, you know?
Yes, we're going with that line of thinking. Like,
so, like, if we're thinking about where we're going, we have to think about where we're coming from. And that's what my music theory teacher always told me about analyzing chords, you know? So why don't we just use that same logic to analyze, you know, the meaning of life?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. Break it down. Where we come from, where are we going? That's the whole point of life right there, honestly.
To something Cotton Eye Joe, right? I forgot.
Where did he come from? Where did he go? What's the meaning of life? Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah, that's great. Yep. That's that proves that Cotton Eye Joe was a real philosopher. Someone we should esteem till this day. But like a lot of people, I think in America, we've never really thought at all about the before life.
I think that's because their American values are very traditionally based on Puritan values, which would be like Protestant. And I don't think Protestants or most Christians believe in a before life. There's life at conception and then your death and then an afterlife.
But why? What does Christianity say about birth and like what exactly happens with that?
If I remember right, I believe that it's the belief of the Christian church that what makes humans like different than animals and stuff is that when life is given to a fertilized egg, we get a soul for somehow. Like, I think God provides a soul to the baby, basically. So God would hold on to all of the pre-life souls, if those exist.
Well, maybe it kind of has to do with, like, the whole structure of Genesis. Because, like, in Genesis, it's just like, let there be light. And it's like God makes light from nothing, right? It's not like there's, like, it's not like he's like, ooh, let me take a little bit of energy and mix that in with a little bit of ether, and we'll just boom, we'll just voila, we have a little bit of
light.
Light, like no, it's just like, oh, there's no light now. Oop, snap of the fingers, light. It's there. Enjoy it. Like no darkness, or no, there is darkness. Yeah, because there has to be. Without darkness, there's no light,
But there is darkness without light. But then
Christianity doesn't give a shit. Huh?
So, light makes darkness, so light will always have darkness, right? This is off topic. Never mind. Let's keep on track.
Well, I mean, well, like, if you don't have light, then you have nothing to compare darkness to. So, like, how would you say that it's dark?
You just be like, this is just the way it is.
It's almost like telling a colorblind. Yeah, it's like telling a colorblind person that this is green, this is blue, or like a fully colorblind person, I should say, like grayscale, like dog eyes kind of colorblind.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to describe a color really. Outside of the name of it. That's why we have those names.
Yeah, it's like green. Like, I'm looking at the color green now. What is green? Green. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel glad. It makes me feel like I'm part of nature. It's like, wait a minute. And then the blind person, or like the colorblind person, be like, yeah. That's my hypothetical conversation about this. Just, sure, yeah. I understand. Yeah. But like going back, like, so like I mean, like, I think I'm more inclined that if there is like reincarnation or the afterlife, that there's got to be a before life. I think maybe it's something that it just goes in line with my need for symmetry, perhaps.
That we're just kind of... but do you think so? What are your thoughts on if there's a before life? It's just kind of an endless cycle where we have a before life, and at some point, your before life spirit says, "You know what? I want to be on Earth again." You get to be a human for a while again. You go into the afterlife, and then you're an afterlife spirit again for a set amount of time until you decide to be a human again.
Well, do you need to be a human?
Yeah, or even
that's
that.
The other thing.
Be something on Earth again.
Well, or even, do you need to be on Earth, right? Or are you just like, because do you ever watch Kurzgesagt?
I've seen a couple of Kurzgesagt stuff on YouTube. I think I saw the one about the calendar.
Oh yeah. That's an interesting concept to think that we should start from 50,000 years ago with our history, where like humans first became intelligent. I think I agree with that. I think that would be, especially with, you know, the whole like before Christ and after, and well, there's like a smarter word for it. I forgot.
It's just after death.
Yeah, but there's like in Latin word, after death, whatever. But I think it actually has like Latin letters for it. But anyway, like, or now they say before the Common Era.
Yeah,
you know,
but it's still based on Jesus' death.
Yeah, which, you know, I think it would be much more accurate and more encompassing of our entire history to start from like.
I agree with that.
They propose. Like,
can you imagine?
I like that. But anyway, that's
having the entire human timeline based around your religion and complaining you get persecuted. Wait a goddamn second here.
Dude, like the whole world's kind of messed up with that right now, but you know, there's nothing we can really do about it, I think. But anyway, like Kurzgesagt a few weeks ago came out with a story. It was like, well, like they animated a story that someone already wrote, and it was pretty interesting. It had to do with reincarnation, and like how it started off with a person like that just died in like a car crash, and he was like talking to God, and then he was like, it's like, wait a minute, I'm dead now? It's like, yep. It's like, and but don't worry, your children will only miss you for a while. And then he's like, oh well, that makes me kind of sad. And then it's like, and then God starts to tell him, is like, yeah, but you will go back to Earth soon and start a new life and whatnot. And then I don't want to spoil too much, but at the end, he figures out that. I don't want to say the end. You should watch it because it's only like 6 minutes long. It's called Egg. The Egg.
Okay.
Yeah, Kurzgesagt. I don't why I always say Kurzgesagt. Kurzgesagt. It's probably because like I don't know German and that word it always doesn't stick in my head. You know? Yeah, but anyway, like it's a super good story. I really, and it's 6 maybe to 8 minutes long, and it just perfectly illustrates just a really kind of sublime, not even sublime. It's like a mundane sublime. It's interesting. Or what's the word? What is the word for that? Like for a society that's not religious? I forgot what that's called.
Secular?
Yeah, it's like secular sublimity.
Interesting.
It's kind of interesting. I almost feel like that the idea of reincarnation is becoming secularized. Cause like I see it in like these stories and whatnot, and kind of because it's starting to kind of be incorporated by the science fiction world, and I think science fiction sometimes is seen as like a secular genre.
I can agree with that. Sci-fi does tend to mirror like the attitudes of the times that it's written in.
Mm-hmm.
Where it kind of like it tries to push the boundaries a little bit and say, look, this is what our society could be like. So if reincarnation is showing up in it, it's kind of interesting that it would be more popular that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. So like I've been, I mean, this is like my research now, you know, but like I'm more around, you know, Chinese science fiction, but like science fiction in general is always like a vessel of it, like usually is a vessel of like prophetic images of the future, like utopias, like usually around political or ethical or philosophical, you know, what is the word I'm looking for?
Subjects, okay.
Or, you know, dilemmas to whatever you want to fill the blank with. But it's so that you talk about these things in especially that now more and more people are kind of like getting on the bandwagon with the idea of science fiction being something useful. I think probably back in our parents' day, science fiction was seen more as like something that was purely of the imagination and nothing that can be used in our actual real life.
Well, yeah, just look at the like stigma that was associated with being a Star Trek nerd.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude, that guy watches Star Trek. He's a huge nerd. Or even Star Wars was pretty much like, you like that stuff? It's pretty nerdy.
Yeah, dude. I still remember in middle school, I was picked on for liking Star Wars.
That's so strange.
Yeah, now you say you like Star Wars to everyone, and no one's like, "Yo, you're a nerd." Everyone's like, "Yeah, Star Wars fucking rules."
Yeah, dude, the first the original trilogy rocks.
Yeah, dude. Like now, like all that quote unquote nerd culture is becoming.
It's very like, mainstream
popularized. Now. Yeah, dude, and like that's so like and I think it has to do with science. We're living in an era where science fiction is becoming reality.
Yep, and lots of crazy stuff.
So now people are seeing the value in science fiction, like, what is the word I'm looking for? My mind is stuck in Chinese, but science fiction stories in general, because you can see, for instance, like the transmitter. The easiest example to give is the transmitter from Star Trek has become our cell phone.
Yeah.
And then there's probably other examples, but
the only one I know to give is the Star. Were a Star Trek thing.
Really?
Yeah.
We didn't have sliding doors before that?
I think we didn't have the automatic sliding doors.
Oh, well, yeah. Uh-huh. And they still don't sigh yet, though.
No, they do not.
Uh-huh. Wait, that's from, what is it? What is that story? The one that's kind of that's really goofy. No, that's from what was it? There's Airplane, and then there was one that was just the same, and it was like in space.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh my god, what was the name of that fucking movie?
I think it was just called Spaceship or something like that.
I think it might have been. I only saw it a couple of times because it was much more it was more adult than Airplane was. Because I remember when they go through the scanner, it just showed it just got rid of the clothes of everybody that went through the line. And I remember being like 13 when I saw that, and I was like, that's the scene I like.
Yeah, dude, when you're like a teenager, like I remember still watching, what is it? Watching Nick at Night or like Adult Swim just to get like material for, whacking the wheelie later on.
Yep. Just to think about it. Just be like, I could look at those all day.
Yeah. But anyway, like, I'm trying to bring it back into our topic. Like,
so
let's see. Yeah. You try.
What, I want to talk about that. What do you envision that the afterlife might be like?
Well, it's probably, there's probably 72 virgins.
Okay.
And
good start.
And probably lots of strawberry cheesecake, because I really like strawberry cheesecake. And maybe there's going to be like a high-pitched squeal, like kind of like a newly born sow, but even higher and even more annoying, and just like constant, to the point where it kind of like drills into the deepest part of your brain.
You give me a headache just thinking about it.
Yeah, like I think the afterlife is pretty much like that. Oh, and then your hands, you don't have arms anymore. You just have your hands and legs, and you're pretty much like Rayman.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like that's your soul. Your soul, actually, if you think about it, like when you're just in your other everyday life, you don't really pay attention to your arms or your legs. You only pay attention to your hands and feet.
Yeah.
That's because your soul is concentrated there. Have you ever thought about that? Yeah, your soul is concentrated in your hands, your feet, your penis, and your head.
That's why they can divine your future from it. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. See, because your soul is right. They touch your hand and you touch your soul.
We're on to you, psychics. You can't fool us.
And then when you're really ready for your first time, you sneeze into each other's noses.
Classic nose cape.
Yeah. It's, for anybody listening, it's an inside joke about going to a beautiful romantic cape where you have your real first time, which is hastily sneezing into each other's noses. It's the ultimate romance. Yeah.
I think my current favorite vision of the afterlife actually is from the TV show The Good Place.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that.
The idea is that for every action you do on Earth, there is a point value associated with it, whether it's good or bad. And then if you have a certain threshold of points, you get to the good place. And if you don't make it, you go to the bad place. Now, that part of it, I don't think that there really should be... Well, maybe there should be a good or a bad place. So there's some fucking terrible people. But...
Wait, can you, go to the good place or the bad place just on the count of 1 point?
Yeah.
For instance...
There is a threshold of points that you have to reach.
That sucks. So there's no purgatory? What if you get, right on the...
There is established, it's a little bit of a spoiler for the show, but there is a medium place that happens for specific individuals that find themselves right on the precipice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I heard you talking about that show before, and I haven't.
I highly recommend it. It's very, very good. And they're on their.
It's hard to.
They're on their last season, and it's nice that a show is ending when they want to end. They're saying this is the story we wanted to tell. This is the last season we need to tell it.
Yeah, I know you told me about the show, and it's kind of been... See, the thing is, when people recommend me shows, usually I have to hear, a few people recommend it to me before I actually go and watch it.
Uh-huh.
And especially that I'm here in China, I don't get bombarded with all those ads and stuff for all these things, or I'm not in that culture anymore to hear, what good shows there are out here. But when I do use my VPN to go on YouTube, I'm still bombarded with fucking fast food ads from America. And it's fucking hard, man. I'm gonna just tell you this. It's fucking hard to always watch the commercials for the new chicken wings at KFC and not fucking having those chicken wings come out here in China. I'm just I really want those chicken wings, man. I really want those.
You know,
it's the same with Wendy's too, man. There's no fucking Wendy's in China, so it's I can't enjoy a squarular burger, man. I have to enjoy the circular ones, the regular circular ones, and they're even smaller than the ones in America. You don't get a manwich. You don't get a giant manwich. You get a little kitty burger, and it's just the size of your palm. I feel if I get a burger, it needs to be at least the size of a bear claw.
I can agree with that. That makes sense. How else will I feel I'm eating a bear?
Yeah, exactly. So that's my dilemma here in China. I watch YouTube and then I still get American ads for shit.
We used to get that in Hawaii. We'd get ads for stuff that wasn't on any of the islands. Sonic had a bunch of ads, and it was there's no Sonic here. There's none.
Wait, so there was no Sonic over there?
No Sonic on Hawaii. 0.
Oh shit.
Just doesn't exist.
Like,
but we still had ads. Or
man, what?
There were a couple of burger places I think that didn't have any in Hawaii as well.
You know, I actually enjoy Sonic's burgers. And actually,
they're
that
a guilty
also,
pleasure of mine. They're large. Like, they're wide patties.
Really? I don't even remember. I just remember... Because when I think of Sonic burgers, I think of kind of like Dairy Queen burgers also. Uh-huh. Which I also enjoy Dairy Queen burgers. You know? Like, I like... Because, you know, like McDonald's, yeah, it's got a taste, but like, you know, each place has their own taste. Like, McDonald's has, I don't know how else to describe it, but the McDonald's taste. Then, like, Burger King has the char-boiled taste.
Yeah.
Right?
You got that little bit of char on the outside of the...
Yep. Yeah. Which, I haven't had maybe I need to get a Burger King burger soon. Because they have Burger King over here. I haven't had it for a long time. But then you also have Dairy Queen. That also kind of has that char-boiled taste, but like it's also got... Each place has their own taste, you know? Like if I were to have like a blind tasting test of like all the burgers we know in our area, I could probably point out like where they're from, you know? But maybe A&W I'm not. Yeah, that would be a good... Yeah, kind of do like a what is it? A
like what Rhett and Lake
Rent
do.
And Barley thing? Yeah, Rent and Lake, not Rent and Barley.
Rent and Barley?
Shit. But anyway, going back to the Afterlife, like I actually there's actually a lot of different versions of this. Like there's a book that I read in my undergrad called for the dreams will come or something like that. The dreams will come or something like it. I don't remember. It was the kind of the same premise of the story I was telling you about from on Kurt Gesak's channel. But like, there was a guy that just died in a car crash, and then he was sent to the afterlife, and he started, and like what was going on in the afterlife there is like that anything you could imagine was instantly made into reality. So people in that realm were like, they carried on whatever they were doing in the regular life, but then they had this power of just being able to make their imagination reality instantly, you know?
Yeah, that's really dope.
And so, like, also part of the reason that they said people on Earth get inspiration is that there's people, there's, like, authors in the afterlife that are carrying on writing, like, the most beautiful works. And then, like, they like, transmit it down to Earth. And that's why, like, a lot of authors on Earth will say... like, God gave me this idea. It
came to me in a dream.
Like yeah, like, so, like, yeah, I think that's a really interesting idea of what the afterlife is. But then in the book, the people, like, in the book, like, his wife, because of his death, kills herself, and she gets sent to like it's kind of purgatory or kind of like hell. Uh-huh. Well, I think it's purgatory, but like he has to go through hell to get there, and like hell is like, man, like that image of what hell was. He had a journey through like this hellscape where it was like a whole bunch of demons, like people with like their flesh rotting off their skin and stuff. And like the more he went into hell, the more he felt himself like being dragged in. And it just makes me think of like how you can have like a period of like high productivity, and then just like I had recently, just maybe one day you just decide, oh, I don't want to go to the gym, or I don't want to do my work today, and I just want to relax and just watch YouTube videos all day and eat junk food. And then the next day you start doing the same thing, and you slowly get brought into this like horrible place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes me think of that scene every time it happens to me, and then I think, okay, I need to slowly climb out of this. But then also, like, when the main character was going through hell to go and find his wife, there was also another character that was like a veteran of that world that he was able to go through hell without being affected too much, you know?
So he like had the mental temperance to walk through it?
Yeah. So and that makes me think of what we what we should be doing in life, you know, strengthening our willpower to be able to get through hard shit in life, you know. But
gotta have discipline.
Like the theories, or maybe I should say, what should I say here? Like the structure of the afterlife that story brings, and I really want to remember the title of it. It's like What Dreams Will Come. I think it's called What Dreams Will Come. Yeah, What Dreams Will Come. But it's really stuck in my imagination as like not really probably what it would actually be, but just a really interesting you know, theory of what it could be, you know.
I think that's the craziest part about thinking about the afterlife, is it really could be anything, because we don't have any way to dip in there and dip back out and say, oh, this is what it is. It could be anything. Everybody could have their own separate afterlife for all we know.
Yeah, and like yeah, I don't, you know,
like, and let alone.
Yeah, can you elaborate on that?
I mean, so what I deem as something that I would love to do for eternity would be probably different than what you want to do for eternity. So, if
I just want to eat cheesecake and masturbate.
Yeah, if heaven was the same for both of us, it would be like a compromise where we probably both feel good, but not as good as we could be. So, I feel like when people say there's a heaven and everybody like meets each other again, I don't feel like that's a perfect afterlife, because
other people are hell.
Sure, I don't always want to be around people.
No, have you ever? That's like Sartre's like thing. Like there's a play called No Exit, and he talks about how like hell is actually other people. Yeah,
that's interesting. But yeah, so what if?
But like
you got to like heaven, and then I think one of the books that I read back in high school, The Lovely Bones, I think had this style of afterlife, was everybody had their own specific afterlife to them, but they could travel to other people's and visit theirs if like they had similar if they had similar interests. You could go there and hang out for a while and then go back to your own.
Yeah, like in What Dreams Will Come, like it's kind of the same ordeal. The same deal. You know? But, you know, it's kind of like, you know, if you're a gay Muslim, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to just die and go to hell? What are you supposed to do with the 70? Well, I guess so, but like, does it really say that in the Quran?
I think so. I don't know if it does in the Quran. I mean, they always try to play it that way, that homosexuality is a sin, but I mean, if God doesn't make mistakes, how does that happen?
Yeah, like, let's say you do go to heaven, and like, so you're a gay Muslim, and then you go to heaven, and you get your 72 virgins. What the hell are you supposed to do? I mean, like, well, are they women? Are they supposed to be just women, or are they?
I do believe it specifically says women.
Okay, so yeah, you're a gay. Let's say I almost said gay homosexual, a male homosexual. You're a male homosexual, and you go to heaven. You get your 72 female virgins. What are you supposed to do? Like, I don't know. Like, talk about like, you know, clothes and cupcakes with them, or what? What are you supposed to do there with that? You know, No, like you probably want like some male versions, right?
You probably would. I don't even.
So I mean, like, and then how about 72? Like, let's say a straight guy going to Muslim heaven, like 72. Is that enough? Is that enough for eternity? I mean, I don't know.
Eternity is a long time.
Yeah, I know. And 72 is a very limited number.
Very small number
I'm just
in comparison.
Saying.
Yeah, you can really tell this was written by a human. 72, that's a lot.
It's just, yeah, it's like nobody will think past 72, you know? Like it kind of reminds me of like the whole thing with the English Empire in Hong Kong. It's like, yeah, we'll sign a contract with China that says we're going to give it back to Hong Kong in 100 years, wink wink. It's like because they thought it was just 100 years is a really long time. They'll probably not remember it. And then in 97, like, yeah, Hong Kong actually went back to China.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was 100 years.
But anyway. Yeah. But like, there's other versions of the afterlife. I mean, like the whole thing with the atheist idea is just blackness or just nothingness, you know?
Yeah, your mental it would just disappear, right? You wouldn't just stare at blackness for eternity.
Yeah, it's not blackness. I mean, it's probably the same idea of like blindness to a sighted person. You know, like it's not blackness, it's just the absence of sight. You know, it's like here would be the absence of just life in general. And you wouldn't even feel bad or good or anything about it because you're just not.
Yeah, you're just not. You're nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems so final.
And so, yeah, and it's just not. It's not any type of knot. It's not a square knot. It's not a loosey-goosey.
It's not the monkey fist knot. It's not one of those.
The monkey fist. Yeah. And a fist. The monkey and the monkey and the monkey. Yeah.
Can you tell me how to tie my shoes? Oh, I don't wear shoes.
Yeah, but I sometimes put this ghostly sock over me ghostly tail.
Oh my god, what a fucking classic.
Oh my god, SpongeBob. SpongeBob is so fucking classic, man. Man. Oh, that reminds me of speaking of classics, I watched what is it? Pulp Fiction again.
Oh yeah.
It was the first time I watched it and I actually understood everything. Because I remember when I watched that in high school, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And now, everything made sense. It was the first time I watched it and everything made sense.
It's such a crazy movie. The timeline stuff, structure's so, like, out there.
But that's, like, so cool. Modern now. Like, everyone's used to that now, you know? But, I just remember in high school watching, like, any kind of adultish movie, just sitting there. It's just weird to me in high school. I didn't understand this shit. Like, I remember watching, like, Pulp Fiction. What other movies were there? Like, a lot of those, like, comedy movies, like, Superbad and also, Pineapple Express. I mean, I understood a lot of what was going on, but I think there was a lot of scenes that still didn't click with me, you know?
I think I had that same feeling. There's just parts of your life that you just haven't experienced yet that they make fun of that you're like, I don't relate to that.
Well, I think it's the only reason we watched them is because adults told us they were cool, and they were like, we want to be cool. And we watched them. Like Napoleon Dynamite. I remember that one was when I came out when I was in 6th grade, and like all the cool kids I remember the day like the teacher asked us, it's like, what movie do you want to watch for your free day? And we were like, and I was like, Star Wars or Pokemon, and then like And then, like, all the cool kids were like, no, we're not going to watch that. We're going to watch Napoleon Dynamite. I'm like, what the hell is that? And I remember, like, when I watched that movie for the first time, because I think I got the idea from my mom that it was a stupid movie. Because my mom would just tell me things were stupid sometimes, and I just kind of went with it. I was like, yeah, that's stupid then, you know?
Yep.
And I don't know why they were
your
stupid.
Your parents have experience. Of course it's stupid. But
And she just told me it's like Napoleon Dynamite is a stupid movie. But then later on, I think it was in high school, I watched it for myself and I was like, actually, this is pretty funny. But I didn't understand things like in 6th grade. I didn't know what the fuck was bust must. Like, I didn't understand what it meant to enlarge your tits or anything. It's like, I knew at that time that I liked boobs, but I didn't know that it was something that people did to make themselves more sexually attractive, you know, to enlarge their breasts. I think maybe that was like a more natural way of looking at the world back then when I was like in 6th grade and I just learned about the wonderful thing, the wonderful feeling of titties, or not the feeling, or maybe like the world of titties.
The thought of titties.
Like, yeah. And like at that time, to me, it was just like titties were just like a thing that it's like were. And it's like, they came in all shapes and sizes and they were all wonderful. But then it was like, slowly, I started to learn that it's like, there's certain titties that are better than others. You know, not all titties are created equal, you know? And then like, yeah. And then I was encultured by that, I guess. And then that's when I started understanding what bust was.
I feel like part of the experience of that movie is learning about those people that never get over high school. The uncle who's like, I could throw that football over those mountains. Guarantee it. Guarantee if coach put me in, I would have won that game. Guarantee it. Like,
I probably need to watch that movie again.
As a kid, you don't get that part. But when you're older, you're like, wow, there are people who are like that. Which is...
yeah.
There's so much realism in that movie that it's so absurd.
Yeah,
Napoleon, give me your tots,
dude. Yeah, that's the most famous scene out of it
for sure. Your tots.
Yeah, no. Dude. I really enjoyed like it. Probably sometimes later in high school, I started really enjoying movies like that. Like you know, there's Napoleon Dynamite. There's Hot Rod.
Oh, I loved Hot Rod when it came out. Oh my god.
Oh, dude. Hot Rod, two of my favorite comedies back in high school were Hot Rod and what's the other one? Man, Step Brothers.
Always.
Which we already, dude, like super underrated movie. I think like
almost a perfect
Hot
movie
Rod,
for sure.
Like Hot Rod was just like I remember like was some. Oh, that's why I started saying Cool Beans because of that
cool
movie. And then there was the scene where like that one guy, like they were, oh yeah, like what is his name? The main character, I think, is just Rod, but he crashed into that guy's RV. And then, like, the guy came out, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then his friend came up with, like, a fucking traffic cone and just hits the guy in the fucking his side. And it's like, I've been drinking my green tea all fucking goddamn day. It's like, and then, he says, no. He says, like, I go to church every goddamn Sunday and you want to bring the demons out of me? It's like, I've been drinking my green tea all day. I'm pumped.
I love fucking when he's asking that one, I think it was the girl about the martial arts. It's like, I know how to make you shit yourself. It's like, I bet you can't. And she punches him. He stands there. He's like, you just shit yourself, right? No.
I don't remember that scene,
I'm just gonna
man.
fucking walk away. I just walk away like this so I didn't shit myself though.
Oh yeah, I do remember that movie now. It's like, oh, and then there's also the scene. It's like when they're introducing themselves to the girl. It's like, my name's Rod, and I like to party. And it's like, and then it's like the next thing is like, I'm Kevin. I too like to party. And it's like, no. I'm the only one that can say he likes to party. Shit. That's a great game. And it's something I will take with me to the afterlife. Full circle.
I recently watched, to the afterlife. We got a full circle. I recently watched Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, I think just earlier this month. I was like, I really like that movie.
That's another movie I have to rewatch, because when I watched it in high school, it's like, I understood like what it was getting at, but like probably there's a lot of details in it I didn't understand.
There's a lot of cool little scenes in it, I think. I like the first 2/3 of the movie more than the last part. I think it falls off a little bit, but I really like the first 2/3 of the movie when they get past like the third X. I feel like it drops a little bit in quality, but I think it just suffers from a last act thing. Because the interesting thing, Scott Pilgrim, the movie, was finished before the actual source material was.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't finished the comic books before they finished that.
Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, they do that in anime a lot too.
And it usually suffers for it.
Yeah. I mean, that's... I haven't seen the original, like, what is it? Full Metal Alchemist anime yet. Yeah,
Didn't we try to watch it? The animation was just really funky.
I don't remember. I remember we did try to watch a few episodes, and it was like something just felt off. Maybe it's just because we watched Brotherhood first, or...
I think that is why. Because remember, we talked to Peter about it, and Peter mentioned
he
that
liked
he liked the original one because he saw that one before Brotherhood.
Yeah, I don't know. Brotherhood it has a place in my heart, and it just like...
Such a good anime.
Yeah, dude. But let's see.
I have another Afterlife, though.
What other...
Did you ever watch Angel Beats?
No, but it sounds familiar.
It's an anime that it's basically about the afterlife. It's what happens when somebody dies. But the idea is that the school that they're in for the anime... Spoilers for Angel Beats, for listeners who haven't seen it yet. Is that the school is kind of acts like a purgatory. And... you have to come to grips with yourself before you go to heaven or anything. So there's one character who's trying to get everybody to come to grips with themselves to go to heaven and leave this school. And there's the other group of people that want to just stay at the school and not like disappear, basically, because you don't know what's going to happen on the other side. So that's where the conflict is in the show, and it's a pretty good afterlife show in general. Which is, it's just like such crazy shit can happen because it's the afterlife. And that's what I thought. You could just do whatever you want in the afterlife. You could just hang out at a school. Why not?
I mean, listening to you talk about that, it's I can also see that as an allegory for just life in general. Because I think a lot of people are scared of death because they just don't know what's on the other side. You know. But
for the last 10 minutes, do you think that like a hell, somewhere where people are tortured for eternity, is a reasonable punishment for some people?
I mean, if you're a sadomasochist, I don't know. What, like if you enjoy pain?
I mean, just like what if? So, should people be punished for eternity for their time on Earth?
Well, I mean, like that also gets in the whole idea of good and evil. You know. Like, if you have heaven and hell, you have the idea of good and evil, pretty much. Right? So, but, like, in other religions, like, for instance, in Buddhism, there's not really any good or evil, you know? You just kind of have... Everything just is, you know? Like, and, like, good and evil doesn't really manifest itself until you are... with other fellow human beings, you know? And even if you look at like Taoism stuff, like Buddhism, it still feels like there's this idea of good like especially when you're dealing with other people. But like with Taoism, it seems like there's no good or evil at all. It's just nature is like the way, you know, and then it doesn't whatever happens.
Pragmatic.
Yeah, like it's because like Buddhism says you're not supposed to eat like or kill anything, you know. But like with Taoism, it's just like killing is part of just life, you know. Like I mean, I go towards more of like Taoism because to me it's like people have been eating meat for tens of thousands of years, and then also like. Well, how about animals? What is a dog supposed to do? You know, a dog eats meat. Are you supposed to force it to be a vegetarian? I've seen what happens with that. Like, there is a dog that was taken care of by this temple, this Buddhist temple over here, that got hit by a car, and so they had to put like a rack on him with wheels. So he can get around. His hind legs were all like completely paralyzed, you know. And, you know, they were taking care of him and they were only giving him vegetarian food. And he wasn't able to get better because he wasn't getting the nutrition he needed. Yeah, and some of the people that came to the temple would give him like meat buns sometimes, but that wasn't enough. And like actually just a few weeks after we left the temple, we heard that he died, you know. And like it just has stuck in my head. It's like you're going against the nature of animals with that, you know. Like if a dog needs to eat meat or a cat, you know, then it needs to eat meat, you know. And so that doesn't have anything to do with good or evil, you know, to me. And I don't know. It's probably because I don't know enough about Buddhism. But to me, that example has made me believe more in Taoism than Buddhism. And bringing it back to heaven and hell, like, I think for me, because I'm more inclined to believe in Taoism, the universe doesn't give a shit about anything. You know, in the Tao Te Ching, there's a really famous saying. What is it? 天地以万物为刍狗, which means like heaven and earth take the world, take everything as straw dogs, which means like just like a mangy kind of mutt. You know what I'm saying?
Everything is just the same, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. It just takes everything as the same and not really having a preference or like a hatred towards anything. Just everything is completely the same. You know, and to me, I think the afterlife will just be probably more I'm more inclined to say that the afterlife is more like that story I told you about with the egg, you know. But not necessarily that idea. Like maybe it would be a different it's something sublime. It's something we can't understand right now as being in our form we are human forms in right now, in our just like meat body kind of like human forms. Like I think we will understand it once we get over to the other side, but at the same time the ideas that we have about the afterlife are inadequate to actually comprehend whatever it is, and that can we even explain it in terms as being, you know? That's the other thing.
Post-being, almost. I mean, it's there's no way that our language could possibly describe something that's unseeable. It's kind of like the same thing as describing a color that you can't see.
Well, I mean, like, it's not even like language that can't describe it. It's our experience as a human being, and our comprehension as a human being won't be able to describe it. But I think that once it happens, it will just like manifest itself as a truth, you know? Yeah, so, like, I don't think there's a heaven or hell. And, like, I haven't believed in that ever since, like, high school, because I remember reading The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley, where he just, like, takes a huge hit of mescaline and just starts to look at the world as, like, this completely new place. And even, like, I read some of that again in Chinese recently. I found that book, a Chinese translation of it, in our library at the school, and it still hits me hard. Like,
that's cool.
How he yeah, it really was the doors of perception for me when I was in high school. It was the first time that I really remember having, like, awareness of the world, you know? Like, but that's kind of what I see with it, because there's also a portion of that book that's called Heaven and Hell, and how he just says, like, the only reason we have heaven and hell is because we have good and evil and whatnot, and there's no reason we need good and evil. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I started thinking about that, you know. But how about you? What do you think? Is there a hell? Is there a heaven even? And do they need to coexist? That's the other thing.
I think that there's more of there's more of like a gray zone afterwards. The human experience.
There's not a green zone?
No. Green is natural and Afterlife is unnatural, so I'm gonna go with no green zone.
Okay.
Just a gray zone. I would like to think that horrible people get punished, but I don't know if being punished for eternity is fair. Like, eternity is a long time to just be punished forever. Like, you spent 50 years fucking up Earth, and I mean, at some point,
well, what if?
Wouldn't you?
What if they raped and tortured, like, thousands of kids throughout their entire life?
Yeah, that's super fucked up. Should he be punished for eternity, or should there be, like, some kind of redemption arc for everybody? That after 1,000 years, you're like, maybe I was a shitty person. Or maybe people that are that bad, if there's a hell, they just get dissolved into nothing. Maybe they don't even get punished, just disappear. I feel like that would be a better solution. Just become nothing.
Oh, well, that's kind of like almost capital punishment, but in a spiritual realm, almost like getting the Dementor's kiss right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. I feel that if God is if there's a God who is compassionate, creating heaven and hell, how can he show compassion and punish people forever? I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually a good thought. That's interesting. I never actually thought about that.
Heaven and hell are weird. That's all I'm gonna say. The thought of eternity is a strange idea.
Yeah, because I think it goes along with what I was saying. Like, we can't comprehend the idea of eternity. And perhaps, I remember thinking this, and I remember asking this to our buddy Peter back in high school, because back in high school, I was kind of like a big atheist or agnostic. I was kind of like treading between atheism and agnosticism back then, and like, he would always invite me to his Bible group and be like, yeah, why don't you argue with us, or whatnot. And I remember being on the phone with him one day and just being like, well, if there's a God and there's a devil, then there's who created God and the devil? Don't you think, could there be a God above God? And then also it's like, why is the devil a level lower than God? I was just like asking these kind of questions. Like, so if we're talking about eternity, then there might be an eternity beyond eternity. You know what I'm saying? Like, just infinite tiers of godliness going in both directions, Like, we're gods to, like, the microscopic world, like, or the microscopic spiritual world, not really like the unseen spiritual world in the opposite direction. You know what I'm saying? Like there's the direction of being more omnipotent and powerful, and then there's the direction of being less omnipotent and weaker, you know? And less powerful. I should make it symmetrical when I'm speaking, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but then when I think about that, it makes me think of how futile life is, you know?
That we're stuck in the middle.
And sometimes it makes me not want to do anything. But then I had a thought the other day that was interesting. It was like, so why do ants just work all day? It's because they're working to be ants, you know? And like, maybe we're just working to be human, you know? And that's just what we do. Like, and that we just, and when we're like wanting to be on top of the world and stuff, we're actually being on top of the human world. We can never conquer the universe, you know, at least in our lifetime or whatnot. And it's just like, I'm just gonna live in life as human, you know. I'm not going to try to live a God's life, and I think that's enough for me. But sometimes I get into existential stupors where I'm just like, and I really do like just sit there and I just like despair at the fact that I will never be a god, you know? I know it sounds weird, but like sometimes it's just like you're almost at awe at the infinitesimal possibilities of the universe in both directions, you know?
Well, I think that's a good place to end the podcast for the night. This has been productive. It's been a fun conversation. I've liked it.
Yeah. I have felt more productive than an ant.
Yes. One final thing for us. Did you know ants are immune to traffic jams? Like, no matter how many ants fill up a space, they can all continue to move.
Oh, I thought you meant, like, if you put a colony of ants in the middle of traffic, they won't get squashed by giant tires.
No, they definitely would die there. but they just will always move because they don't have the sense of individualism like we do. They always go for the greater good of the colony, so they don't, like, say they need to get there first. They'll let the other ants, like, move around them. So they'd always have a flow going.
That's it. Ants are super interesting, which Kurtzkis also has some interesting videos on ants too. But one last thing. All right. Like there's a quote by a Chinese poet, a really famous Chinese poet called Su Dongpo, and he said this interesting phrase. It was like, when being in front of ants, I will not feel superior, and being in front of God, I will not feel inferior. You know, it's like, it's just it's almost like it's humbling, but at the same time, it's like trying to retain humans' dignity. You know?
Yeah, it's saying nothing's above or below you. We just are.
Yeah. And so that kind of is what kind of led me to believe it's like just compete within your class. You know, we're in the human class. It's like if I'm a stick of a boy, I'm not going to be competing in like the heavyweight class. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like that's what I'm kind of feeling spiritually at the moment with my motivation and goal in life. Yeah. But that's all I have to say for that.
Well, let's close it out for today. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, we're going to be jumping into the pond, and here's a splash effect. Oh, that's not a good splash effect. That was more like a choking. Yeah, cut.